How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another episode of D20 Theater. In our previous episode, we fought a dragon and started heading up toward left Krari's Pass and headed north to Piran's Bluff, which seems to have been taken over by some sort of independent force. Neither Canaan nor Thrym. Thrym forces already surround the city, and our heroes now have stripped down all of their gear to simple clothing in order to try to invade the city, or infiltrate the city, as it were, disguised as mere merchants.
Who beat each other down.
Yeah. Let's talk about Prince of the
Realm. I'll mention Prince of the Realm one more time. So, Prince of the Realm, for those who are just now tuning in or catching this on YouTube, I got this wonderful, wonderful map of Chult from Prince of the Realm. I'm running Tomb of Annihilation at the Reaper Miniatures Factory in Denton. And I thought, man, I really need a map of Chult. And so I looked into all these printing services, and the one that I finally settled on, most of these things, if I wanted a full-color map of Chult, you want to show it off to the camera? Yeah. If I wanted a full-color map, it was going to be $70 or $80. Even more if I wanted it to be wet erase or on something other than paper. But I found Prince of the Realm, and these guys, I was able to purchase this map of Chult for $25, full-color, wet erase, vinyl map. It's the same stuff that the Chessex maps are made out of, essentially. If you see this one right here on the table, I know a lot of you are probably familiar with those. And so Prince of the Realm is a great sponsor. I reached out to them immediately, and they have allowed us to run a giveaway. So, if you want to be entered in this giveaway, here's what you need to do. You know, our streams are always split into 2 episodes on YouTube. Our previous episode that we just finished recording here, it'll be up later this week. That episode is episode 11, and it will be titled Old Habits. And episode 11, you can like, share, subscribe. Share our post on Facebook, like our post on Facebook, spread that around. The more you spread it, the more likely you are to win a 10 square foot custom map from Prince of the Realm, full color, vinyl, wet erase. This can be a design of your own making, or one you've purchased on a website like Mike Schlay's Maps, or maybe one you've purchased off of the DMs Guild. As long as you can send them the image file, they can make this map for you. And I have to tell you guys, I'm very, very pleased with the one that I purchased. We just gave away another one yesterday at Dallas Fan Days, and we're psyched about this stuff, man. These guys do good work. They do real good work. So, like, share, subscribe, episode 11, and you will be entered to win.
Also, a big thank you to Tyler Price. He's now one of our first D6 rollers, so he has donated to our Patreon, and it is pretty sweet. So he's also a sponsor of this episode.
And what does he get for being a D6 roller?
He gets a thank you, a personalized thank you on our stream as a donator as well as a sponsor
and so
of this episode.
Here now is our thank you. It goes like this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That's really bad. We'll work on that next time.
All about augmented chords.
Dissonance. The most dissonance we can get.
Yeah.
Also,
Well, we were just, it was the spell Dissonant Whispers that we just
Yes.
cast.
We
Yeah, we just did it louder for the purposes of this. So please come back.
Yeah.
Please return.
We're
The
also
fear is only
going
for
to
one
do
round,
a
it's
really
okay.
cool personalized thank you in character on Facebook between one of our actors here. We're going to probably roll on it at the end of the episode to see who says the thank you.
That's a good idea.
And then,
And the most important part that he gets.
The most important
Oh, he also gets the choice of making someone, including the DM, choose a roll. Which means if I roll, say I just rolled an 8, he has the chance to switch it between 1 and 20.
To make it a crit fail.
So if I rolled an 8, he could make it a crit fail to 1. Or he can make it a 20
Or a
into
crit
a crit.
And how can he redeem that prize?
He can redeem it by going to Twitch while we're streaming and say it in chat while we're in the middle of streaming.
Alright, if that kind of nonsense sounds fun to you, be sure to donate
Please
and
do
help
disrupt
us
our
out.
game.
He has promised, by the way, that Sam is going to die.
With
All
full
right.
armor on. That's what we like to see.
Alright, I like it. Well then, without further ado, we'll get started. Your cart pulls up to the rear sally port entrance to the city. 2 guards open the gate, each of them armed with spears, and one looks up at you and says, "Hold!" Nullius for sure is riding in front. He's driving the carriage. Is anyone out there with him? We can have one other person out there.
I'm an elf, so that's probably bad.
We're
plan,
both like on some sort of mount, so.
Okay, y'all are both mounted nearby. He looks up at you and he says, "You look like you've been through something not quite fun."
You can say that.
Oh.
I see what you did.
He says,
Orphans normally have a son.
"What was it?" Nullius says, "Orcs coming up the pass."
Yeah, you see those new ones? They're terrible. Absolutely awful.
What is that sound?
That's Donner from Rudolph.
So is that your fake name you're gonna use, Donner?
Sure, yeah.
All right. Nullius
He's already
dismounts and he says, "Please, I saw that you were seemingly under siege. I understand if you will want to search our carriage. I'm Carter." And he extends a hand, and the guard just kind of looks at his hand and he says, "Keep your hands down. We'll search it." And who are your friends?
I am Donner. I sell yarn.
Yarn.
I'm a yarn salesman.
Well, as you spin him this yarn, he looks at you oddly and says, "Very well, I hope to see some of your work. Is it in the carriage?"
I think it is. Right?
Nullius shakes his head and he says, "Alas, the orcs took almost all of our goods. We still have some food." He says, "We still have some food, but they took all of our goods for trade. I was able to repair the carriage. My father, you see, was a cartwright."
That's right. You know, those orcs are extremely militarized. They pillaged our caravan. And, you know what? I think I went unconscious more times than I went to sleep.
The guard just kind of... Right then. And your name?
Trafe.
Trafe? An odd name. Dwarves. He goes to the back and he pulls open some of the cloth on this sort of covered carriage. He says, "Elves? You travel with elves?"
What?
I'll start.
How big
I'll
is
say
it?
to him in fallow.
Infestation.
You certainly cannot understand what I'm saying.
It's in fallow.
Fellow.
He says, "Ah,
Decent
good.
fella.
And they don't speak common either."
Get out, slaves!
Ah,
I stand up and I look very upset.
You
And I go to Nullius because I am Nullius the slave, and I look to you and I point to that one.
And I go to the door.
I don't need a slave to help you carry all
I'm
that
currently
yarn.
a flower in her hair.
Nullius says, "I understand some places around these parts the slave trade is frowned upon, but..." And the guard says, no need to worry here. The Baron has made it legal here."
Score!
He's just like...
They dig through your belongings for a while, and you can see that Nullius has actually crushed some of the foodstuffs and things to make it a little more convincing.
Jimothy!
Oh, hold on.
Jimothy!
Jimothy!
You help the guards with whatever they need. You understand?
Is that me? Is he am I
Jimothy! Hey!
I don't speak
Talking to you!
You speak anything?
I speak Old Speech.
And Wood Elven.
Wood Elven.
Dwarven.
Don't worry, he
I know
understands.
Narween. Is that the Elven
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I know that one. Oh, yeah.
It'd be like a weird.
It's a weird
Swedish
dialect, but yeah.
Yeah. I know
Isn't
that
it? It's Swedish, right? Norwegian?
No, the Norwegians
Norwegian
are
is
French.
French.
They're like really
That's
hard.
right.
Just the other day when a Narween appeared, I couldn't do it because I've been doing Dwarven.
Yeah,
And then
the
Schultz.
bleat.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So he looks through and he says, "Well, looks like we're all clear. We'll appreciate any supplies you can offer.
At least you have.
Move along."
Of course, thank you very much.
Nullius mounts.
Officers?
Nullius mounts back up and he rides on in.
I tell you what, these people are so nice. I can't wait to see what's inside. Can't you, Trafe?
Yeah.
Nullius looks down and he says, and as far as the lodging might be, where could we find that? And the guards look at each other and they think for a moment, and one of them says, well, there are a couple options. Some people like to stay at the, over at the Conqueror's Blade. That's my personal favorite drinking hole. Some of the Blackguard have used the Lodge, though these days it's mostly hunters. They tend to turn away those they don't get along with too well. I suppose there's the Dead Well.
Jeez, these are some names.
Should have been writing these down.
The Dead Well is a good place for just about anyone to stay. Owner there's the luckiest bastard I ever have met.
Why?
Just everything he does, he seems to come out on top.
I always like luck, although I would like to conquer me some sleep right about now.
Well, then I'd say head to the Dead Well. And Nullius nods and he says, well, thank you then. Donna, if you would lead the way.
You know
Oh,
me!
yeah, there ain't no party like a Donner party.
Because a Downy party kills your eardrums.
On Strafe! On Trafe! On you!
Carter.
Let's go! On Jimothy! On Other Slave!
That's
His
your
name I never bothered to learn. She keeps looking at me like she's mad. I don't know why.
So, heading into the city, Nullius kind of looks around and he says to those of you closest to him, he says, it has been quite a while since I've been here.
I am
Perhaps.
so sorry.
He says, yes, that was
A
painful to
surprise.
say the least. Have an inspiration, by the way, for the Donna
You just
voice.
see the flower like shaking because he's laughing.
He says, perhaps at the Dead Well we might find some sort of information about what awaits us here in this town.
Good idea.
Bandages await us.
Alright, soon, traveling down the road, you find your way to the Dead Well, a two-story construction of stone and timber towers above the rooftops of nearby buildings, and rivals the watchtowers even for prominence in the city. A sign near its entrance depicts a stone well surrounded by weeds. Bronze letters affixed to the sign above the picture read, The Dead Well. Long-railed hitching posts frame a wide stoop and tall, narrow pine doors providing entrance into the inn. Wood smoke wafts from stone chimneys rising from the steep wood-shake roof, carrying the promise of warmth and a hot meal within. A small boy is sitting outside, a blonde mop of hair in his eyes, and he looks up and he says, "Hi, hello, sirs. Didn't expect no travellers these days. I can take your carriage round back if you like."
We will handle it.
All right, well, follow me then.
I say in Falmouth.
Oh, well, in that
I don't
case,
speak foreign.
he says, "Where are you from, mister?"
Oh God!
Don't worry about Jimothy. He is my servant. Yes.
Oh,
Is it protocol to put the caravan in the back?
right, we just put the carriage back there in wheelhouse. It's just kitties.
You guys are going nuts.
Okay, well, I don't see a problem with that. Do you, Trafe?
No.
Nullius nods.
Man
and
of
he
many
says,
words, I tell you.
He says, "Thank you, lad," and he flips the boy a silver piece.
Yep.
Silk teeth. Stiff.
As he, silver's a lot of money.
I know it's true.
So,
And can we tie up our horses to the
absolutely to the hitching post. Yeah.
Great.
In Dwarven, I tell the ram, wait here. Don't let anyone else take you off of this post.
It
The ram
goes-
nods. It understands Dwarven.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
It's
be good,
intelligent.
Harris.
All right. As you enter, you can see that this inn is actually built around a well in the center of the inn.
Oh, cool.
Like on the inside of it. There's a guy. He's an older man with a very hard face. He looks a lot like Grand Moff Tarkin, right? He's got a very hard face.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
get
the
it.
best visual I can give you.
Star Wars who actually like gave the order to
Yeah.
fire the Death Star.
Nerds.
So
Peter
he's got a very it's Peter Cushing as the actor. He's got a very hard face. This character will be played by Peter Cushing. I can't remember what his voice sounds like off the top of my head, but and he's got sort of a white comb over with a little bit of a bald spot in the back. He's very wiry and fit for his age. He's wearing short-sleeved brown tunic along with some dark green-brown pants, and he has a white apron over it with a very fine gilded dagger set with rubies slung at his side. And behind, I love the feather or the flower. Inspiration for putting the flower in your hair. Behind the counter, you see a sign that has an X carved into it with what looks like a thin blade, and on the sign it is painted, "Don't make no trouble." And you can see him
That's a double negative.
kind of.
Don't
Yeah,
make
say
fun
that.
of Luke.
don't make fun of Luke. Inspiration. He leans over the counter, and he says, "Hello there. What brings you in here?
You see a
Didn't
leaf
think we'd
just
have any
wave.
newcomers. What with the
Drink.
that's odd. What with the siege and all? Just drink."
Just like, oh my goodness.
Drink and possibly selling of some wares that we may have, but we were raided by orcs.
This
So
is our life for the next 2 hours.
Nullius shakes his head and he says, "You'll have to forgive my friend here. Donna seems forgetful. Our wares were taken from us by orcs on the road.
right.
I'm Carter, and this is Donna and Trafe. And this is Jimothy, our slave. And
On the slave.
a line."
Yeah!
You're just
I
a line.
look to him and I say, Jimothy. Like in whatever language we're
Norway.
Norway.
He says, "Well, I can give you rooms, and I can give you drink. I suppose the orcs took all your coin, didn't they?"
Yes.
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 they-
Well, you know, we may have. What's in the well?
Look, you're
Great
welcome to
segue.
climb
Great
down there
segue.
and get some coins if you want. Maybe the only way you'll be affording a night here if you don't have any yourself.
How much?
Looking around, he points to a sign over the bar, and it says an amount. Here we go. It says 5 silver pieces a night.
Dear Lord.
Wowzers.
For a modest room. He says, "I can give you a room in the stables if you like. 7 copper a night."
Plus horse poop.
That is deep.
Fine. I flip him 7 copper.
All right.
Stables it is. I'm sure the hay is super cushiony.
Nullius says, "There is no need for such squalor. No, we will take rooms." And he puts forth a silver piece for each of you. And he says, "The first night is on me, my friends."
Doesn't have to put one up for me.
That's true.
I put my hand out for the 7 copper back then.
He says, Fine. You got me."
Doesn't he bought his slaves
Haha.
a moderate bedroom?
Well, you guys don't get a bed. You're just gonna sleep on the floor.
He bought us a bedroom.
All right,
Oh.
Timothy,
There's a bed there.
take our
He just
stuff
wants to
up.
run away.
Take our stuff up. Jimothy just. I haven't eaten
I-
Right away,
I
sir.
pick up your things
What language
and
is
I
it?
like bang them against the wall as I go up. And throw it on the floor.
She's learning.
Inspiration.
And then to myself, I'm just like, I deserve that.
That's it. This is on me. I'm the worst.
You
I'm
don't
the
have
worst.
much stuff. I
He
mean,
says,
it's
"Well,
not
What do we even bring?
what brings you into town?" Lucky Ben, by the way.
Well, he's just holding it out in
Trafe.
general.
Who
Trafe,
cares?
used to see all sorts of dwarves back in the day. Haven't seen you in a while. I was hoping a new trade route might open soon. And your name, sir?
Donner.
Donner.
Hoping to make some new friends
Well,
here.
well. I'm sure new friends will be made soon enough, although you might want to leave the city before that invasion force gets in here.
Why?
Have you seen the size of that army out there? Once they come in, there's no telling what they might do.
I look at the walls just around the city. I just kind of gesture at one of them and say, "Can they?"
He says they likely won't, not right away. But eventually they'll get tired of waiting, or they'll have another place they need to be, and then they'll try. Their men will crash against these walls, and they'll lose quite a few men. But our forces can't hold forever. I think both armies know that. If you can even call our men an army. We've got more guards than your average town. You know, we are a border town after all. But we don't have a whole force to stand against that.
Who are these people here?
Those are the Thrims.
The ones coming in?
He says, you don't know much about the world, do you? He says, Thrimakath is, this barony it belongs to Thrimakath. And you see one guy kind of look up from his drink, and he makes eye contact with Lucky Ben, and Ben shrugs, and he says, well, it used to at least. The Baron has proclaimed himself an independent lord. And all hail to the Baron.
Politics.
Yarn is a very sparse business. I don't get around a lot.
It's threadbare, you might say.
Why did you let me say it?
Oh, man.
Oh, were you gonna get it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
I'm sorry, Brandon.
Greg, you ruined everything. Put
Dang it,
Greg in the chat.
Dang it, Greg.
Dang it, Greg in the chat.
Go ahead.
He says,
It is my loss.
says, well,
At you.
yarn is not something I believe will sell particularly well, so I suppose it's just as well that your carriage was raided. Nullius, he says that with a bit of a chuckle. And Nullius kind of shoots you a look, and he says, yes, it is just as well. I'd advised my compatriots against going into the yarn business.
You never know.
I think you might.
You usually know.
Yeah. About yarn.
Yeah, we calm down at this point. Because, like, dude.
Jimothy, is everything all
This is
set up
the
up
dumbest thing you could possibly be sewing in this
Set
world.
up is one way to put it.
But
In Norway.
And, which
All the things are scattered along the floor. You will take hours to pick everything in the correct place.
Good on you, buddy. And I just kind of pat him on the cheek and
Lucky Ben nods for a minute, and he
give him a
says,
copper.
I don't know how you understand that.
do you make up some words?
It's mostly gibberish, but he puts in some real words in there. I understand it. It's a
That's pretty
kind of a secret language we have.
It's a give and take.
All right. He says, well, glad to have you in the inn. You let me know if there's anything I can do for you.
So, just in real terms here, out of game, the Thrym are attacking.
Yeah, so the
Yeah,
Baron
Baron's
has
Bluff.
declared himself an independent power for some reason.
So they're just trying to take over.
Right, and so the Thrym are trying to take it back because it's theirs.
Okay.
But it's a particularly dangerous spot because Piran's Bluff is a border town. The two primary defenses of the line are Piran's Bluff and Beldrin's Bluff, which sit on the opposite ends of the line, which is the break in the mountain chain,
Right.
where you could actually march an army through. And so if Piran's Bluff isn't there, that's a huge, important... I mean, it's not a large city by any means, but it's a very important strategic location.
Yeah.
And so it's not one they can afford to lose while at war with Caneth.
So I guess, do we go up to our rooms?
That's up to you.
Well, I guess. Real quick before we go, why do they call you Lucky Ben?
He sort of smiles and he says, well, back in the day, I used to be quite good at gambling. Some say I never lost a game. He says, I've been all over. I've gambled up in Logren at some of the larger houses there. I even took a trip down to Crari's Pass once. That dwarf never knew what hit him.
I look at the well in the center and go, lose the water.
He laughs again and he says, yeah, a long time ago. It's an old dead well, but the locals sometimes credit it with my luck. They say I've taken all the luck from the well. Every now and then they'll toss a copper coin down into there to try to gain some of that luck for themselves.
And how deep is the well?
I mean, it's not particularly deep. It's just average well depth.
Okay.
So if you look into it, can you see the...
Yeah, you can see the glint of copper down at the bottom.
Toss me down there.
I can't retrieve you.
I can't talk.
Do you just
But
like
you're
mind
free?
games.
Like,
So how about we,
You're so awkward.
I put 7
Lucas
copper on the
slapping him.
table.
how about we play a little game?
He says, what game do you have in mind?
Let's do a kind of quick game and do the 10 dice thing.
10 dice.
Dwarven Train.
Oh, Dwarven Train, yes.
There it is.
I know Dwarven Train.
Trafe knows.
Yes, it was created by your people.
This is-
I think there's even a whole story around it. I don't know it.
Yep.
It's all right. Just you and I then.
Yep. No need to get Timothy or Trafe.
He
and that's-
takes 7 copper and he sets it on the table and he says, rather small
It's
pot.
gonna be loud.
Here, I'm gonna actually move between you two
Yeah.
so I've got a little bit more space to roll. He says, rather small pot you've offered there.
Yeah, well,
Yarn.
after being hit by orcs, that's all I have.
All right.
Now hit him.
All right. What's this for?
I'm doing it so he doesn't hit the chest.
Oh, who's calling it?
Go.
Oh my god, Brandon, just play the game.
What are you doing?
He's literally just panicking. That was a 6. Six is like the best number to roll with.
They're easy to identify.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, there we are.
Wow.
Oh, there we are. I lost my money.
Yep.
Yep, that's what happens when you gamble against old Lucky Ben. Says, I've built up quite a fortune in my day.
That did seem rather seamless or uselessly proud of you.
Timothy, I don't need you right now. Back up to the room.
Nollius,
Everything's put out.
Nollius looks at you and he says, I hope you have more money for the wares we will need to acquire in town.
Of course. Yep. Yep.
Timothy, I
You
don't
can
need
never
you
have
right
too
now.
many spinning tools.
I hear that as I go up.
Alright.
And, you know, a few minutes later, I come back down with a pouch of my own gold, and I hand it to Nollius.
And he says, thank you for bringing me my coin.
You know, I came here for a good
Other
time, but
slave.
I'm feeling real attacked right
Slave
now.
number 1.
Well
There's
then.
some of you, like,
He ties it off and he says, Ben, what locations,
Shut up,
what can we find here in town? What are some of the town's offerings?
Mhm.
Ben thinks for a moment and he says,
For free.
Ben says, well, we have, if you're looking for a dog, Shanks is a good place to go. He's got a humble little breeding service over there. You can get food and supplies at Graydon's. He looks around and he says, I suppose, there's the First Light, the Church of Lorimere. Oh, it's
What kind of?
Not what it once was.
We don't need that, right, Trace?
Most non-committal. grudge
Nullius
ever
looks around and he says, "Of course, all of us could pay homage to the light." He says, "There's Terran. Terran is frequented by travelers from out of town. Terran's yard. He's a breeder. He sells beasts of burden and mounts and things of that nature."
Cool.
The grocer, the Forest Bounty, he, you could visit there. It's a family of halflings, actually, that run that place.
The leaf taps on you.
Bucket and Bellows, if you need any metal goods. The blacksmith there works hard every day. There's the
Insight
law.
on that? Can I do insight on that?
On
Sure.
the blacksmith working hard every day?
Yeah.
No.
I don't know.
You want to see if we're going to run into Podrick the Worst?
Or what's the
Colby's
other?
like, dang it, I was going to.
No, I wasn't.
Oh, okay.
17.
Okay, please
17?
don't put
Yeah,
Podrick
it seems
in there.
right.
He always messes me up.
Fine.
He says,
A universal bag.
he
Here you
says-
go.
let's see, there's the lodge, though you don't have any business there, I'm sure.
Well,
There-
what is that?
The lodge, oh, it's an old hunting lodge. It sometimes visited by a blackguard ranger here or there, but they typically turn away anyone who's not a hunter. They're not fond of the common men walking through, as they say. You have to prove your worth. The Black Candle, they sell herbal remedies. The apothecary there keeps us healthy.
The leaf taps you again.
The Conqueror's Blade is a place you have no business at, for sure. And a guy in one of the chairs, the one who had made eye contact with him earlier, says, "Conqueror's Blade's got better swill than you have any day. Speaking of, I think I'll go get some." And he slams his mug down on the table, and the guy he's sitting across from says, "I know, I'm not done with mine." And he says, "No, I'm gonna go get some from the Conqueror's Blade. You know it's better than this hole in the wall." And the other guy says, "I'm staying here. I'm not done."
I was totally
And the guy for a moment sort of looks at him and he says, "Fine, fine." And he sits back down and rolls his eyes. And he says, "Fill me another."
I thought it was gonna be a
And
bar
Ben
fight.
fills him another.
What's his problem?
He says, "There's some some competition between myself and the owners of the Conqueror's Blade.
I don't know anything about competition. I'm the only one of my kind.
Yeah, you kind of are.
I'm sure that's the case." He
You
says,
don't have to compete, you don't have to care.
"There's the new building the Baron's been working on, though I haven't visited there
God.
myself.
2 hours of this.
But yes, I haven't visited there myself. The Baron's only just built it. Let's see. The Almirs have an estate in town, of course. There's Argith's shop. And I suppose that's, other than the keep, that's just about anywhere you'd want to go. There's plenty of other houses, but none of particular note."
Thank you for all the information. You know, I think we need to go to the Black Candle first because these bruises really, really hurt.
I was really hoping you'd say they're really smart.
Yeah.
It just sounded like it would be fun in that voice. Oh well.
You missed an inspiration.
Disappointed again.
Nullius says,
Disappointing.
Nullius says, "And do you want to go there tonight, Donna, or shall we wait till the morning?"
I feel like you're telling me morning.
No, I do not mind, one way or the other.
Well, Carter, I think that we should do it as soon as possible.
Well then, you will save our rooms, I trust. And he nods, he says, "Of course, I'm not going to give up a room of someone who paid. Not like I'm going to get any more customers while we've got a horde of soldiers outside. Go ahead." Nullius says, "Right then let us go and see the Black Candle."
Jimothy, Keep an eye on our stuff.
Ah. We will see.
Nollius says, actually,
Wait.
Jimothy, I might need some help carrying some of our purchases. Would you come along?
Very well. Other slave, watch our stuff.
Slave number 2.
Of course, I will need someone to bear my cup.
Hmm?
Then he hands you his hands you his mug and he says, "Come."
Very well, the room will watch itself.
Maybe you should stay there.
Come. Let us go.
All right.
Leave the flower though for no reason.
I definitely would have that.
So you head to the Black Candle, and this squat building sits at the middle of Dawn Lane, one of the roads in town.
That was different.
Ivy covers much of its walls and partially blocks several diamond-shaped stained glass windows. Near the front entrance, a large iron arm thrusts up from the ground, its palm facing the sky, sort of in that stance. A black candle nestles in the palm, a bright flame dancing on its wick.
Surely we do not need to keep with the facade with the doctor. We can.
Are you talking in?
I'm speaking in common, yes, to our companions here.
Nullius, what do you think?
Why is that?
Play along, play along.
Fine.
Don had constipation.
Nullius knocks on the door and says, "Excuse me, my friend is hurt."
I'll get under your arm and like be.
Opening the door is a raven-haired half-elven woman with green eyes and pale skin. Though clearly in her late, probably 50s at this point, she is still a natural beauty. She has her hair pulled back to a bun with 2 loose curls hanging down in front of her ears. And as soon as she opens the door, Nullius puts a hand on your chest and he says, "My lady." And he kneels on one knee.
Uh-oh.
And she says, "Nullius?"
Oh.
Wait, do
What's
I
happening
recognize
here?
him?
Roll me a history check.
They love each other.
Oh wow, not 19.
You do. You recognize this as the former Lord Humanus, Vieren.
What does that mean?
The Lord Humanus was selected by Lef and Rogier when they overthrew the old king to essentially be the voice of the common man on the council that served under the king.
What's the name again?
Vieren?
Vieren.
She says, "Oh,
And
get
they chose
up,
a-
get up."
They chose a wolf? Elf?
Yeah,
A half
I
elf.
would have also gone to
And
it there.
Nullius stands and he says, "What are you doing here?" And she says, "Oh, I gave up that silly old position a year or 2 ago. It didn't suit me, I'm afraid.
Do the
Too much
townsfolk
bureaucracy."
know who she is?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. She lived here before she went there.
Okay.
Please, miss.
Oh, Jesus
Orcs!
Christ.
Orcs! Laid siege! I can't.
He says,
It hurts!
"Let's go inside so you can drop this facade." she says,
What's the card say?
free samples. You encounter an individual who willingly provides you a sample of his concoctions.
They
The
stole
exact
all our
effects of his
coins.
concoction is
Just wait till
determined
you're
by the DM.
herbalist and potion maker.
So heading inside, this is the apothecary.
Oh,
yeah.
it is? Oh,
Yeah.
I like as soon as we come in, I'm coming out of flower.
Heading inside, she says, she says, "Let me get you something for that." And Nullius goes, "Oh, you don't have to." She goes, "I really don't mind." And she goes off and she grabs you some herbs. So let's see what she might have. Hand me the DMG right behind you.
I would love to pop out of
Yeah.
flower.
And I'm just like, what?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
There's a halfling just laying on the
She
floor.
startled goes, "Oh my."
You can.
Well,
Hello.
hello there.
I heard you were the apothecary and herbalist. And I
Yes.
would like to inform you that I am a high priest of the green, and I would love to see your wares
Take it back.
and gifts of you.
She says, "Well, no gifts of Yuane here. Only those that are granted to us by the Lord of Light. His light lets all green things grow."
God.
It's good to be back among the civilized.
Inspiration.
Surely you knew what you were getting into.
Yeah,
So we're dropping the act, I guess.
please.
Ah, I'm glad to learn that was a fake voice.
Dear.
I was
Lord
beginning to
Mayor,
feel
that
very
would have been
sorry
the
for your
worst.
wife.
All siblings or parents or school teachers.
Or even
Dog.
Or
acquaintances.
maybe, son who might have a formed nose of some kind.
What?
What?
His son grew up.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
And then he punched a lady
I'm gonna
in the
keep
schnoz.
holding the cup.
This is a man's job.
We believe in gender
So
equality
sexist.
here on D20.
So roll me a
Punch
d6
ladies.
I think
and then divide it by
Don't
2.
punch anybody.
I would love
Divided
to.
by what?
But
Two,
disregard
rounding up.
gender when you have to.
Alright, that's straight 3.
I would love
I
to
guess.
purchase
Is
some
that the story?
herbs from her.
All right.
Punch people.
She
It's bad.
hands you a couple samples. She gives you a healing potion, a greater potion, or a
Oh,
greater
greater
healing
what?
potion,
Oh.
and a
The suspense.
let's say a potion of speed. So she says, here, some for healing and one to get you back on your feet.
Thank you. I appreciate your generosity.
She says, of course, anything I can do.
Madam,
Yes.
do you mind if I use your herbalism kits? I mean, not herbalism, alchemy kits over here.
I don't dabble in alchemy. For that, you'll need to see Argith.
Who's Argus?
He runs the alchemy shop in town.
The alchemist.
This is the
Shut up!
He's the Baron's favored alchemist.
Oh god.
She says,
Thank you.
and I believe his bill is currently quite full. That said, you are, of course, welcome to any help I can give. What are you here for?
How long ago did the Baron assume command of this place?
She says, well, the Baron's been in command, but
Assume independent command of this place.
he declared himself Lord not 2 months ago. Nolly says, that sounds about right. That would have been before I left the line. And she says, yes. Yes, well, it's been odd. I think he's dabbling in some form of perhaps necromancy.
Is that right, Liz?
Yes, he's erected this strange temple
It always goes my way.
to deities I've not heard of. He found
I look at the priest of black. Necromancy. The followers of the old don't like necromancy.
That's true.
The black really
I also
don't like
happen to know
necromancy.
that the book contains spells that do that, so I'm trying not to make eye contact.
She says, there's been a strange form of worship here recently. He's converted a few of the citizens by the power that it's brought them. Strange deities I've not heard of. A crate arrived here. He had purchased it from someone
A crate.
near the coast, I'm afraid. Although I couldn't identify who, but it came from a strange foreign merchant.
Did it have any markings, like specific markings?
The crate had inside of it a creature fighting to get out,
Is it a
though I did not see what kind it was. What I did see was after the crate went into the keep, only an hour later, there was a strange altar being carried out of the keep into the new building the Baron erected. An altar with a goat's head upon it.
Oh. That's not sounding good.
That is not normal.
Huh?
Previous campaign.
The Thrim soldiers didn't think to come
That's all
earlier.
you're watching.
I guess they didn't deem him a significant threat until just now.
It was only recently that this happened, of course, and the Thrim have been quite occupied.
With
Our-
Canis.
Yes, our people have been battling on the line quite furiously. As soon as they heard,
They did it again.
they sent forces. King Aegert is currently touring the line, you see, and
They were hoping to keep most of the forces there to protect him. He's a fool to come down here. I told him he shouldn't.
King Aegert, you told him he was a fool.
Yes, I did.
Goodness. Well, we don't need our forces divided. What can we do while we're here?
Well, I suppose you could try to find out what the Baron is up to. The only way to get that Thrym army to pull back is to somehow turn the city from the inside. Assassinating the Baron might have that effect.
You make it
She
sound
just
so
went
easy.
straight to
You make
assassination.
it sound so easy.
Do you have an alternative?
Of course.
Nollius shakes his head and he says, No, that sounds... That sounds like our only option.
He's dabbling in true necromancy, then his life is forfeit already.
I agree.
And that symbol worries me. I've not heard of a thing like that.
Likewise.
But the army here is quite powerful. The city guard is far more than you would find in your average town. Not with 24 men could you do this.
You see that look in his eyes? He's not gonna stop now. He's...
No, but I'm not going to run off to my death either. I'm more used to Lorimer alive.
She says, Nollius says, what allies do we have here in town that we can call upon? Viren shrugs and she says, I'm afraid I do not know. I do not know the people well enough other than the smith.
Are there any of the Blackguards still stationed at the lodge?
No, none here. They pass through here and there, but none as of late.
Unfortunate.
You said you knew the smith. How?
He's an old friend. His family is they have strong ties to one another. They're good workers and they do good work.
Alright, so we can trust him.
I would hope so, though I can't be sure.
What are her wares in? Like, she studies apothecary, which is basically like potions to better.
It's
ones.
herbalism, yeah. It's like healing and medicine.
I would. This is my. I'm in sanctuary right now.
All right.
That I would like to speak to her about her craft when we're done speaking
All right.
about special things.
Okay.
How much gold do we have?
Right?
Like
Actually, that's Nick. His most
I
recent tally.
well, I guess the most recent. Let me look and see if I typed that still.
I don't even
Just
know
to
if we
double
can
check,
grind.
our trip here took at least 8 hours
Yeah. Oh yeah.
because I got 4 levels worth of spells in my book here.
Nice.
Yeah, from all the gold you stole from me. So.
Earned.
Earned.
I don't know. You're shocking
I
grass.
do not still have the others.
Suggestion that prevented him from
But-
fire breathing at a.
My resistance. Oh,
I didn't
boy.
add anything to the list after you gave it to me. So yours should be the same as what mine was. And then I think it was something around.
The only difference is that 400 that you got.
Yeah, I hadn't added
Yeah,
that.
we were pretty much right at 1,000
And I've used half.
at my last count.
Which is a whole lot of gold.
Yeah, that's a whole
I
lot.
would love to use some of that.
All right. Here.
Mhm.
What do you want to purchase?
As many potions as I possibly can.
Maybe not so much.
Okay, we are.
Potions of healing.
Well,
really.
yeah, but we are going to need to probably spend
Then I
some
would love
on-
to use 10 gold to purchase as many potions of healing and
So-
betterment.
Potions of healing are worth 50 gold, but she might have some other wares. Let me pull up my.
Like, we're going to need to probably buy weapons and armor for the people who hit things.
Then I'll probably just
You
go,
might.
I'll probably since she
You guys
does
are
have
okay.
herbalism kits
Alright.
and alchemy kits because she makes
Yeah,
potions.
she does.
I would love to probably spend the night there creating. I need 50 gold to create a first level.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure we can spare
So
50
nice,
gold.
bro.
Okay. I'm probably gonna make a fairy fire.
She says.
I like it.
So.
Excellent choice.
Oh, right, because you took that feat, didn't you?
Mhm. I would love to.
You got it for free?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the free. Yeah. I would love to. Could I possibly spend time here enough to become instead of an adept alchemist, but a
Expert.
expert, not a master?
No,
but
but
expert?
she can teach you some other stuff.
That would be sweet.
And you don't have a room, so that would work out.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh, that's true.
He was a flower.
He was
do you
a
mind
flower.
if I stay here and study under your guiding hand?
She says, well, I can show you a few basic things if you'd like.
Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow.
It'd be like Ghost. It's gonna be like Ghost.
Oh, okay, good.
Where I'm gonna be like under the
Clay
under the-
pot.
and she's on the top.
All right. So
Because you're such a
she
snitch.
says, let me show you what I have. And she takes you to the side, and we'll come back to that in a minute. Let me see what these guys are doing.
Do the special stuff.
Yeah, so what do you guys want
And
to do?
I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
No, jeez.
No! Stop it!
There we go.
Sorry.
As you know, as you can probably tell, we had to come in here as parading as merchants. So we have no armor, no weapons. So this assassination attempt you're speaking of, we have a slim chance of doing without visiting your friend. What is his name? The Bucket and Bellows.
Oh, yes. You mean Genderfoot.
Genderfoot.
Smar Genderfoot is his name.
Smart. Right. Well, do you think he can cut us a deal?
Cut you a deal, I'm not sure, but if he is still loyal, which I would imagine he is, he would certainly sell to you.
Could we perhaps... what do you think, Thaddeus? Maybe buy some weapons from him, keep it there until we need it.
That makes the most sense to me. Although, we could simply say that we're buying weapons for our own protection, seeing as how we were waylaid by orcs on the way here. I don't think anyone would begrudge us that.
Sure, but we'd have to tell literally everyone that.
Well, maybe. It seems more likely that people are more worried about the army out there than the 6 of us in here.
Well, if that's the case, why didn't
Fine,
we come
they
in
won't know about
with
him.
the weapons in the first place?
We couldn't come in with weapons, then we look like an infiltration force. Now that we're inside, if we buy weapons from the smith who is legally making weapons, it might be much less conspicuous.
I guess it's fine to buy from him and carry them around,
Mellius,
otherwise...
do you disagree?
Well, we were just attacked by orcs, as our cover story suggests. Maybe we're trying to protect ourselves.
That's what he just said.
I think that such a thing might be feasible. I have very little skill with telling falsehoods, but if we were to convince the people that such a thing would be true, perhaps we could also suggest that with an army at the gates, we're simply readying ourselves for an invasion.
Also true.
That said, and he turns back to Viren, does Janderfoot in a town like this, wouldn't he mostly be making mining tools?
Great.
She nods and she says, yes, he might be able to get a custom order, but of course that would take time. And he does have some weapons.
Surely he may have a dagger or two.
Of course, of course. The hunters at the lodge often need knives.
So would it
That
be...
would be enough.
Would it be more advantageous to go full, like, war picks or something?
You could, of course, use such things. Nullius thinks for a moment. He says, and what of woodsman's axes? And she nods and she says, yes, those could make quite good weapons. We do have some woodsmen here in town.
The monk just gets a big.
And of
goofy
course, there's
smile
the
on
bows that are used by the hunters.
Oh, I have one of those.
No, right, no.
it. No, right now you don't.
You access.
You got 2 axes.
You right?
I'd really prefer not to use those, but...
I'm not an expert either. But we could.
I can.
Janderfoot also does make the gear for the guards here in town. They mostly equip themselves with spears. He might have a few of those
Now that I do know
handy.
how to use.
Of course. Well, it seems we will be properly outfitted when we get there.
I mean, this is all I need. Thorn whip.
The ceiling.
Booster, stop chewing on his adventure journal.
It's okay.
It's a big...
Eat it.
He not like that noise.
guess we will go see your friend.
You should. I will warn you, however, that he has been on careful watch. Some of the guards warned him, that some of the ones that still survived from those days, that during the Six-Fingered War he helped Lord Knight Dekovia invade this place when another baron had tried to seize control.
Okay, well, a yarn salesman can't go in there.
No, probably not.
Nullius says, that's why you should have discussed what we would be selling. Yarn? Really? Yarn!
I didn't realize
Yarn!
there was supposed to be a meeting.
What? Yarn!
I tap Nullius on the shoulder and I offer him his beer.
Thank you.
I produce my smith's tools and just kind of position them around the belt.
He says, I would also like to take a look at this building that's been built here out of the view of the Baron. Whatever false gods are being worshipped, it would do well to cut them down.
No objections from any of you?
Timothy?
Your good friend Esteem is raring to go.
That's my girl.
Timothy is in the inn.
In character.
I feel
I'm just
like
glad you finally got a name.
Me too.
Should I go with you or should I stay here?
Should I stay or should I go now?
And we were planning on going to the
Smith.
we were going to the smithy first.
Whatever you want to do.
or I guess.
Wait, you can discuss for a minute while I go to the restroom.
Okay.
If we go to the smithy
Nullius.
first, we can find weapons. Just a
Nullius,
couple.
where should we go?
Hey, Nullius.
Nullius
Nullius!
and Thaddeus.
And
Do you want to go
Thaddeus
get the weapons
Thaddeus.
first, or do you want to go check out this place? If something goes down, we will be empty-handed.
My faith is what safeguards me against the darkness, but I
Of
do feel
course,
that
yes,
I would
yes,
feel
yes.
better with a stout weapon at my side.
Thank you. Me as well. I don't have my
Really
fancy
like
fire blasty things anymore, so.
My job, so.
But you do have your yawn.
You're the better for it.
Not
No,
anymore.
No, he doesn't. Actually.
I don't.
Here's my yawn. Thornlip.
Never had I ever.
Been a yarn.
Yeah.
What would you like to do?
I appreciate
It's Nullius.
Esteem takes a drink. We're like, it was a long time ago.
I have lived for a long time.
Then I started raising the dead right after that.
He doesn't really. He just
Goes
raises
from
one
yarn
hand.
to
And I
raising
found out I was
dead.
bad at that.
Yeah. Do you still have your ghosty
They
friend
never,
following you
they
around?
never talked about that
Yeah,
in
he's
last
nice
time.
all the time.
No,
He's
not in the
invisible,
office.
so-
They didn't talk about that.
What are your best friend?
Yeah, so I guess we're going to the smithy.
Smithy?
Smithy.
Alright. Then,
Forget about that.
Viren says, come, little halfling, I will show you some of my craft.
Thank you.
And the rest of you head to the smithy. Which one do we want to do first?
No, table
The-
sister.
The Smithy.
No, do we want him to see the craft?
Oh.
Oh, are
Do
you
your
the
Sam's thing.
Alright, so, she takes you to the back.
Tell her.
And she says, I've quite a few ingredients here. I will allow you to attempt to mix one freely. After that, I will unfortunately have to ask you to pay. They do cost quite a bit of money.
They do cost
She says,
quite a lot of coin.
you can see I have it sorted here into different categories. I call these effects. These can be used almost as is to create a sort of effect. They're very useful when burned or crushed or poured, as the case may be. And she goes over some of them and she says, for those we have arrowroot, amanita cap, bloodgrass, and of course many, many others. She says some of these are quite common, while others are quite rare. I also have these, and she opens another cabinet, and she has a bunch more various ingredients.
Literally jaw dropped.
Yeah. She says, these are modifiers, as I call them. And as she goes over them, she's showing you.
What they do.
She's showing you one by one these different items, and she says these do all sorts of various items, modifiers, and then of course the specials. And she opens another cabinet, and there's some very rare ingredients.
Even jaw drops even further.
She says. She says, if you were to attempt, I lost my thing. Here we go.
I hate it when that happens. You lose your whole thing.
All right. She says, basically, what you would want to do is you'd start here with one of our effects. Here, and she lists 3. She says some of these are positive and some of them are negative. In game terms, we'll call these buffs and debuffs. So there's effects, buffs, and debuffs. And she says what you can do is then you will take from these, and she kind of takes a couple and mixes one together. She says you choose one effect, mixes it, crushes it with her mortar and pestle. And she says...
I'm literally like shedding notes.
And then she says, and you can add typically up to 3 modifiers or specials before the potion is too diluted to have any sort of effect at all.
Mm-hmm.
She says, so, what I'd like you to do is try something out. She says, I have whatever you might need. So on this list... I'm going to hand it to you. You have a page here, and you have modifiers, or you have effects, buffs, and debuffs. You take one of those, and then you can add up to 3 modifiers or specials. You can't add any that are labeled as enchantments, but there's a page or 2 of ingredients. So be thinking about what you want to create. She's going to let you create one thing for free.
Okay.
All right. And she explains kind of what they do as you go on. All right. What do we want to do? You guys are going to the blacksmith?
Into the smithy.
All right. The squat brick building echoes with the sound of metal striking metal. A sign depicting an iron bucket and a bellows hangs over the wide door. It seems scarred and pitted with a couple marks of where an arrow might have struck it. Inside, a large black anvil stands next to a massive bellows connected to a cool forge. As you enter, you see that there are 2 guards standing just on the inside of the smithy, watching the smith at work. You hear a voice call out, "Oi! Boy! Bring me that steel!" And from another room comes a lad of probably about 13 years old. And he says, "Come in, da!" And he comes running in, and he's got some steel in his arms, and he brings it out. The guy comes out, and he's a fairly young guy. This guy is probably, in his very early 30s. He comes out, and he's got a big black beard, and he's got heavy-set eyes. Like you can see, he's definitely a working man. He works a lot. And his hair is short and pulled back. He's wearing a huge leather apron, and as he comes out, he says, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know we had customers." Well, I didn't expect so many in one day. If this were the old days and Dad was still here with all my brothers, I could get you some craft made immediately, but I'm afraid it's just me and the boy these days. What is it I can do for you?
I gesture at my injury, and then tell Ace's just at the injuries around the room and go, "Protection."
Oh, well, I can sell you a bet if the guards don't mind. And one of the guards says, "Yeah, you can sell them the usual stuff. Whatever you've got." We don't mind citizens, of course, having protection. It looks like you ran into some trouble on the road.
Orcs.
Oh, nasty as an orc.
Damn dorks! I tell you guards are super nice to let us protect ourselves.
We're back to this.
He says, well, I can offer you, of course, some simple weapons. I'm not a craftsman like my dad was, though I do make.
Wait, are these the halflings?
What?
No.
No,
That's Scottish.
he's descended from Outlanders. Brooklyn is halflings.
Yeah.
Brooklyn and other like varieties of that accent.
Oh, I would have been doing a Brooklyn one this whole time. I thought it was Scottish. Oh,
Oh, he's just gonna come back. Hey guys.
Hey,
We're
what's
like,
up,
"No."
dudes?
Anyway.
I changed my ideas about my
Like,
character.
carrots are a little
I thought it was
less-
because you weren't from
I'm
that
from
region.
Technically northern Thrumik.
Yeah. He says, I mean, now, that said, the Outlanders are the ones who worship the green. They're
Yeah.
typically Scottish.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
Scots.
He
That's
says,
who I was kind of raised by.
I've got some stuff I could show you if you'd like to take a look.
Yeah.
Would you hand me the player's handbook?
So is he basically carrying simple melee weapons?
For the most part. He's got a couple other options. As he leads you
This is a spear.
As he leads you into the back room, he says, "Pardon the mess. Once my brothers all left, it got to be a bit harder."
These are simple also.
You can see that weapons and armor and things like that are just strewn around. He says, well, you know, my old dad died, and there were too many memories here for them. So the rest of them, they moved on to bigger, better lives, all got married and left town.
Shame.
Aye, it was. I remember in the old days, my dad would work the 6 of us from dawn till dusk. My little brother, Tom, he was always a treat to watch. Dad would tell him to get to work on one of the forges, and he'd be running about pretending to be a knight or some such. Dad would give him a whooping. It was quite the sight to see. You could tell, though, that every time Dad was proud of him. He actually did go on to be a knight, you know. He left here with Constantine when he went up to Logren. You would know the name Constantine. Constantine Decavia is Anton Decavia's son, who for a short time was interim lord of Piran's Bluff. He says, well, anyhow, we've got some daggers, of course. Those won't do you much good against an orc, I'm afraid. I have some simple firewood chopping axes, and he holds up some slightly larger hand axes. He says, I've of course got hammers for fixing things and whatnot. I make some spears for the guards, though I only have 2 on tap at the moment. Sickles for some of the farmers. He starts looking around the room. He says, and of course, he grabs off the wall a woodsman's axe, which would be about the size of a battle axe, and he says, I do make axes for those who chop wood, and picks for those who work the mines.
Spear.
Yeah, I can sell you a spear. Although the spears are, of course, slated to go to the guardsmen, so I'll have to make a new one. But I'm afraid I'll have to up the price for you. But 2 gold pieces, and I can get you a spear.
I pull out 2 gold pieces and hand it to him.
He hands it to you. He says, "Now don't be walking openly with that. Baron doesn't take too kindly to it." He hands you some wrappings, and he wraps it up. And he says, "You keep it in this, and you'll be fine." Mechanically, it would take an action to withdraw it from the wrappings.
The rest of the time, would it count as an improvised weapon, I guess, or was it?
If it was still in the thing, it would be an improvised quarterstaff, basically.
You know, you have a really nice family. That was a really great story, and you know what? I would love to buy your wares. However, I don't have any money. Trace. Yes. Great. Can I try one of your miner's picks?
like I said, they're built for miners, but you could try to swing one about as a weapon. What do you want to try it on?
Anybody who tries to do this?
Well, I'm sure an orc is shaking in his boots right now. He says, aye, I can get you a pick. Although the picks require quite a bit of fine metal. They are, of course, for mining some of the harder metals here in the mountains.
Oh, I'm sure Trafe's got it.
That'll be 5 gold pieces for a pick.
Come on.
I have 5 gold.
Alright.
You sound like a sad Free Willy.
Nullius,
terrible.
looking around, says, I will take a dagger, if you don't mind, as well as a woodsman's axe.
Oh, big man Carter over here.
He says, of course, I can get that for you. You've got the look of a woodsman about you, a burly fella. He nods and he says, yes, I did some wood cutting in my youth.
Not burly enough for those orcs, though.
No, not quite.
Bap! Right back.
Breaks your neck.
Well, I'll make a new character. He talks like this by default.
He says, is there anything else I can be doing for you?
Oh, not at the moment.
I'm just kind of looking at the guards.
Right then. And he kind of looks at the guards as well, and he says, well then, I've got more work to do, if you don't mind.
Right. Well, that was very nice meeting you. What did you say your name was?
My name is Smart.
Smart.
Aye.
Very nice doing business with you. I'll let you know how it goes.
Well, certainly send me the heads of any orcs you kill.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I head out.
Alright.
Just kind of hold the weapon up to the
Holy
guards
crap.
as I go, just like, hey, what do I got?
The guards look at your pick, and of course the battle axe and things are wrapped as well. And the guards look at you and they say, don't be swinging that round, none, or we'll consider it a weapon for purposes of confiscation. Keep it strapped to your back or your side.
Well, where can I practice?
Practice? You can practice out of town on an orc.
Right.
What does that mean?
Nothing. I just
You winked
right.
at me. What was that?
What?
Idiot.
Trafe, I don't know. What the wink mean?
Means he thinks you're cute.
Head wound.
Yarn salesman.
Right.
My brain is kind of
Yarn.
swimming. I apologize. Anyway, yep, good advice. Let's
Brain's
go.
full of yarn.
Alright,
Let's
meanwhile, back at the apothecary, what have you decided on?
So I go up to the case and I grab some herbs and I smell them. That one too. Oh, got this one.
Says, really? An odd choice.
And then go to a vial of what looks like some ooze. I uncork the ooze, dip it into the cauldron, grab some sage, wild sage root.
Okay. So what all
I
ingredients are you
use
using?
primordial ooze.
Primordial ooze.
As my special.
Wow.
And then I use wild sage.
Oh, primordial balm.
Yeah, primordial balm. Sorry. And then I use wild sage root. And
Okay.
then I grabbed a mushroom that has bioluminescence. And I crack it open and use the bioluminescence.
And what was that one called?
Luminous cat dust.
Okay.
And I break it all in there and mix it up.
All
So
right.
it will
And
heal
one
2
sec.
beasts.
Hold on. Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Not yet. You have to still make it.
That's true. I gotta use my nature check.
All right. So.
Can you guidance yourself?
Yeah, I would love to guidance myself.
3. Okay. So. That's gonna be an intelligence herbalism kit check.
What the heck?
So I have proficiency in that since I have one.
If you have proficiency in herbalism kit.
Thank you.
All right.
So, there you go. What's your intelligence?
It's not that good.
Oh,
I tried to bump it a little, but it's only, right now, since I have proficiency in it, I have a +4 to it. So,
What's up +4 to the roll?
nat 20.
Oh my
Nat
God.
20,
I
nice.
saw that happen.
Alright, it comes out. So after mixing it up for a bit, what it does is it will heal. When you drink this potion, it'll heal for 2d4.
2d6 plus 4. Oh, 2d4, you're right. 2d4
Yeah,
plus
2d4 plus your alchemy modifier, which is your intelligence mod plus your herbalism kit proficiency. So, which is a +3 now. Because you're level 5, right? So your proficiency bonus is +3.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, sure enough.
Yeah.
So that would
So
have been
it's
good.
2d4 plus 5.
2d4 plus 5. Also,
It lasts the primordial bomb times 2 to the
to the
effective buff.
effect, yeah.
So I will actually be rolling 4.
Well, hold on. Primordial Bomb is double all the buff and debuff and modifier parts after final calculations. The Luminous Cap Dust is triple the duration of any buff,
So for 3 rounds.
but
they
you
will
haven't
heal
put any
for-
buffs in there.
That's what Wild Sage Root is.
No,
It's a
Wild
buff.
Sage Root is an effect. You didn't put any buffs in there.
I'll do it bad.
Pick a buff real quick. Pick a buff, because you can still get one buff in there.
Yeah.
You thought you were gonna get like a weird delay.
No, it still works. It's
Yeah, I mean,
a
it still
delay.
works,
Yeah,
it's just-
still delayed.
It's just now a 2d4 plus whatever healing potion.
It's actually 44 because of primordial bomb.
No, that doubles
times 2.
the
The effects.
of any buffs which you haven't put in there.
Well,
So find a buff and we'll come back to you. All right.
crap.
So in that case, where to now?
Puppies.
Puppies?
She wants a dog.
Well, what is that?
It says double all effect or buff. In
Oh,
buff.
let me see.
Ooh.
I may have misread it.
Uh-oh.
It's just not. I don't
Oh,
know why
yeah,
it's
you're
not
right.
bold.
Yeah, you're right. Double all effect or, but yeah, okay, cool. It just wasn't bolded, so it threw me off. So
it is
yeah, in
44.
that case, it
So
is
it'd be
44 plus
5
5, so
And
plus
then-
10. So it's 44 plus 10.
plus 10,
That's
and then
amazing.
luminous cat dust is times 3 the duration of the effect. So for 3 rounds, they'll get 44.
No, that one does say triple the duration of any buff. Target becomes luminous and sheds dim light for 15
well,
feet
can I
for the
use it on
duration.
the primordial bomb then? So
But
the
that doesn't have a
primordial bomb-
duration. And it's also not a buff.
That's right. It's a special.
Pick a buff.
I got it, guys.
Alright.
Alright, here we go.
So when you drink this healing potion, it's 44 plus 10 plus
Which is amazing.
you glow as you
Plus
drink
you
it.
Which is
glow
fine.
as you drink it.
Yeah.
I guess we're going.
I mean, that's fine. I don't
Alright,
mind.
cool.
Yeah.
So she says, a very odd choice, but I like it.
Holy crap! 44 plus 10.
And you can also purchase more ingredients from her to make more stuff if you'd like.
I'm gonna call it Ewing's.
I would have put money on the fact that it was Ewing's.
Yeah.
Glow.
Yeah, Ewing's glow.
There you go.
Not bad.
All right.
Terran's yard.
Terran's yard? I thought you wanted to go see the dog yard.
Oh yeah, Terran.
Terran-
I would love to
Terran's
see
like
Target,
the
but I'm not there.
pack animals and stuff.
I'm
So-
going to use the rest of my time to create a first level fairy fire potion.
Okay, cool. So heading to Schenk's dog yard, crouched in the shadows of the tall northern wall of the keep proper, a humble shack occupies one corner of an open yard surrounded by a crooked iron fence. A row of dog houses lines the western side of the yard, while kennels occupy the space along the fence opposite them. Several mastiffs wearing spiked iron collars roam the yard, masters of their own small patches of land, while younger ones pace back and forth within the confines of the kennels. A sign fastened to the gate in the southern portion of the fence reads, Schenk's Dog Yard.
I go to Nolius and I tug on his sleeve.
Yes?
I think she wants one.
What use have you for a dog? Inspiration just for that face. Will a dog really come in handy during the... You don't think it will just get in the way? Inspiration.
Are they trained?
Oh.
He says, I don't know. I'm coming into this with the same knowledge as you.
From the look of that collar, I think they're at least supposed to look like they're trained.
Yes, they could potentially sniff out things. Notice something we can't.
Well, we could certainly take a look. He enters the shack, and inside is an old man with one eye, and hanging on the wall behind him is a very ornate longbow. And above the longbow is a plaque that is like a thank you for his service with the sigil of the Blackguard Rangers on it.
Wow.
And he also has hanging next to the plaque 6 wooden stakes, each with blood at the tip.
Whoa.
Wait, what? Say that again?
6 wooden stakes with blood at the
It's a
tip.
vampire.
Where are they?
They're hanging next to his plaque.
Unhasing. Do vampires exist in?
In Belerath?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There was the Vampire War.
That's right.
Yeah,
I
you
was
were
a
part
part
of
of
it.
that.
Yeah.
You played in that.
Idiot.
You're a part of that.
You killed the leader of the vampires.
Yeah.
Sure
The hope for the
I
war ending.
legitimately
He ruined all of the things
cut his head off.
for a bounty.
And then I took it.
It's true. And got a lordship that you didn't earn.
Yeah.
Alright, so we can see that there's this ranger here. This
Yeah.
ranger.
And as you walk in, you see the ranger. He is looking up, and he's kind of holding a treat for a dog that he, like a little puppy that he's trying to get to roll over, and it just won't roll over. He holds the treat out, and he
Can I
kind of
try?
moves it,
Can I try?
and the dog keeps going, and like grabbing the treat.
Try?
And he's like, oh, stop that, hey, got that, stop that! And then he smacks the dog across the face, and he says, damn dog.
I want to try. I hold up my hand.
Do you say
I don't
that
say
in
that
common?
because I'm not allowed to speak. I'm a slave.
Who are you?
I point to Nolius because he's my master.
Nolly says, but a slave girl, but one skilled sometimes with animals.
Really? No, really?
It's not a convincing lie, because Nelly said he sucks at that.
Yeah.
I am an wood elf, so you might think that I am a +2.
The old ranger stands up, and he's
That's if he is.
kind of pulling his tunic down. He says, right, well, you can give it a shot if you like. He hands you the treat.
Tyler went to sleep. Dang it! I was gonna be like, use it, Tyler. 8.
Did you roll like you?
Make it a 20, Tyler. Make it a 20. Don't use it for my dead save. Make it a 20.
He went to sleep.
Oh, well.
As you hold out the treat, the
Oh, wait,
puppy.
What?
It's not a skill check, is it?
It is.
Yes, it is.
I have advantage on my skill check.
Okay.
Aptitude.
Would you hand that to me?
Yep.
17.
All right. As you hold it out, the puppy reaches for it, and you kind of pull it back a little bit, and the puppy rolls over and lays on his back and goes,
And I feed him, and I pet his belly.
and his tail's wagging and thwapping against the ground.
So cute. I'm so happy.
In her head, it's that cute, guys. This is the magic of D&D.
He says, well, always heard the knife ears weren't bad with an animal.
I'm a little disappointed in that comment. That's okay.
Well, bit racist. Bit
I
racist.
pat him, and
Just
I
guess they are good for something then, huh? And
look,
Nullius sort of awkwardly goes, yes, they are.
I look to Nolius with the most please may I keep it eyes that anyone has ever given anyone in their
Well-
entire life.
Carter, I think what she's saying is that she wants to be an apprentice to this guy here.
He says, oh, no, thank you. I don't need an elf in my employ.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I've got too much that might be stolen.
And now you have 2.
I'm gonna steal this dog then. I'm just gonna hold it.
Nullius says, really, that one? That's the one.
It's a baby.
It's not trained. It's useless.
I will train it.
We have need of a dog. I can't believe I'm saying this. And Aline here seems to think she can train this one to our purposes. in the yarn business.
Why bring me into this?
I am my own man, and I don't need a dog.
You know what? I want a big dog. Give me your biggest dog. Trafe, pay the man.
Nollius
In
says,
Dwarven, I'll say to you, you're the slave now, dwarf.
"Oh, how much for the puppy?"
Jimothy.
Yeah! How much for the puppy?
And Ranger says, "Well, it's one that small and that misbehaved. I suppose it'd be
It's a
Free?
bargain.
I'll give you $1 to get it out of my shop.
I'll pay you.
I'll give you currency that doesn't exist in this world
I
to get it out of
suppose,
here.
a well-trained dog could be a good 25 gold. One like this, I'd say 10.
It's a bargain.
I'll give it for
I just
5.
saved y'all 15.
On the persuasion
You
check.
didn't save me nothing. Are you kidding me? I just got a potion
Yeah,
that'll
that
save
voice is not
all of your
persuasive.
lives.
14.
Oh,
That's pretty persuasive.
A 5 just because. No reason.
No. Kip, what?
irritating.
Right, no. It's 10 gold.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's 10
I
now.
didn't hear him.
I'm
That's
a
10.
I don't have money, but I gave him my own gold pouch earlier.
And he drops 10 gold coins in the guy's hand, and the guy says, "Well then, the dog's yours. Go on now, give it to your master."
And I pat it, I give it a little kiss, and I give it to him, or hold it to him.
Nullius takes it for a moment, and it's like squirming, and it's excited, its tail's wagging, and he says,
Tails like,
"Yes,
His face.
uh,
All over his face.
yes, perhaps it would be best if you held it now, slave."
Now give us something useful and give us the biggest mammoth dog you have.
Oh, you want the biggest?
oh, you're gonna get a fat dog.
He says,
Calling the dog.
he says,
Oh.
"I can give you a big old dog if you like. Come with
Not
me."
old.
No, come with me.
And his prime.
Big old
And
dog
he
that'll live
takes
for
you back to
5
the back,
minutes and then die.
And there's a huge, bulky mastiff, like muscles just rippling,
Pit.
and it's chasing a young guy around the yard. The guy's going, "Oh, oh, 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 oh," and he like jumps over a fence, and the mastiff just topples the fence and continues to chase him as it's barking and chasing him. And the mastiff
dog from
tackles the
Sandlot.
guy, and the guy is going, "Ah, ah, ah!" And the mastiff is going, "Arr." And so he comes over and he grabs the dog by the back of the collar and yanks him up, and then punches the dog in the jaw.
Oh!
And he says, "You quiet down now." And the dog just sort of it freezes for a moment as he holds it by the collar, kind of panting as he's losing his breath from being pulled. This dog is just massive, massive beast. And he sets him down, and the guy dusts himself off. He says, "Oh my God, I thought I was done for. Thought I was done for."
I'll do the same thing that the owner does, and I say,
Hey! You calm down now.
To the guy.
Right now.
The guy says, "How dare you? I am a citizen of this town."
You are fine. That dog was just playing with you.
You haven't actually introduced himself, but the ranger laughs, and he says, "It happens every time he's got to go feed this one, it does."
What a maroon.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you want a dog, a big old nasty dog, this is the dog for you.
What's his name?
Call him Crag.
Fitting.
Oh, yeah.
"What was that, a goblin?"
Fitting.
He says, "Crag is the nastiest, meanest, most vicious dog I've ever trained.
Also the dog for me. How much?
This one's 50 gold pieces. He was too tough for the Baron. Is he too tough for you?
No, I can wrangle him, I guess. How much money do you have, Trafe?
Jingle a pouch that contains an amorphous amount of gold that would roughly be about 1,000 gold pieces.
We'll
less,
just call it 1,000.
yeah, less the amount that we. Yeah, so we'll call it 1,000 now because we bought a couple of things.
50 gold.
That's a lot.
Has he caused a lot of trouble lately, or what?
Only for this one.
I believe that. He must be new, huh?
This is Cooper. Isn't that right, Cooper? And Cooper nods and he says, well, yes, it is. I am Cooper, in fact. And I am one of the greatest dog trainers, one of the worst dog trainers you will ever see. He says, it's good to meet you. The Baron's my uncle.
Does he take off his shirt? And
Oh, Cooper, why didn't you say so? Very nice to meet you. Hopefully I didn't cause too much damage to your face there.
Oh, no. The ladies still love it.
Just for fun. Oh,
The
I'm
Rangers
sure
up.
they love you.
No.
I'm sure you're a hoot for the ladies. You're-
Yes, I am.
Isn't he, Trafe?
Who?
He's a right owl, he is.
Nolly says,
Where
look,
is he
we could
going?
talk all day about how handsome the lad is. Are you going to buy the dog or not?
50's a little heavy. Could we do maybe 40? And I'll take it right now in gold.
Roll a persuasion check.
That was cocked.
Roll a better.
Oh.
Nope.
Alright, he shakes his head and he says, I've got plenty that might want this dog. You want him? It's 50.
Right. Well, hurry up. Give it to him before someone comes and takes it.
And he says, alright, here's a leash. You'll need it.
Ah. Now you calm down now.
He
You're
bites his
mine.
finger off.
He does, he snaps at you for a moment.
Savages.
Crack? No. That's a bad kidding.
You know what's gonna be terrible is if the dog only now listens to that voice.
Oh God.
So.
All right, please calm down now.
Hey, wait a minute.
That wouldn't work
That's
at
my
all.
dog training voice.
And he hands you a whistle and he says, right, so I train these dogs well to bring down bandits and criminals, things like that. So, you need him to attack, blow 2 whistles, give it 1 whistle when you're ready to call him off. 3 whistles if you're ready to call him off. 1 whistle
3 times.
will call him to you.
Because he's gonna blow it 3 times, and then the dog's gonna kill him. Knowing your luck.
Wait, okay. 1 whistle calls to me. 3
Yes.
whistles breaks it off
2.
completely.
Right.
Yes, and 2
2
is sick him.
to hit the bandit.
Breaks off. 2 whistles.
What do the halflings do in this village?
Sick him. Are there any?
There too.
Oh, there's 2.
Yeah, but the oh boy, where is it? Maybe Forest Bounty?
Yep, Forest Bounty. They are the grocer.
Grocers?
Mhm.
Would they sell plants?
All hobbits share a love for things
I mean-
that grow.
Yeah, they'd sell things like cabbage and carrots and
Okay.
Potatoes.
Potatoes.
boil them out and stick them in a stew.
Do I need to roll like an animal handling or anything, or do I just?
Oh, not right this second.
Great. I can't wait. What is
50
the
gold for 1 pit trap.
Pit
I
trap.
actually am proficient in.
My
in
sword
my-
is mastiff trap.
Okay, maybe you
Pit
could
trap
help
would
me.
be different.
So am I, but it's not that great.
I took animal handling and was like, oh wait, I probably should have took nature.
It's fair.
Okay.
It's fair.
So no one in the party has animal handling.
No, I have it.
That would be fun, right?
Nullius says to you, it's getting late. We should head back for some rest.
Are we out of the shop?
Yeah.
Should we go and meet up with Oz?
Yes, we should collect him before heading back.
Yes, let us go collect him.
Would it not be strange that we are bringing in a party?
Well, I was hoping he would be able to.
Shift back.
Right.
Is the mastiff large, by the way?
Yeah, it's a medium beast.
It's just on the large side of medium.
Yeah.
This one.
Yeah.
How tall is this dog?
This dog is it's pretty tall. Have you ever seen like an old English sheepdog? It's like that size.
They're huge.
Yeah.
So he's better than 3 or 4 feet tall.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
If he stood on his hind legs, he'd be
huge.
like over 6 feet.
Alright, I'm
But thickly muscled
Yeah.
like a pit or a mastiff.
carrying him along with me.
All right.
Leash.
Carry him.
Let's go.
The dog's like,
And he
okay,
is very
whatever.
resistant to the leash. He'll pull and fight, but he does come with you.
Okay.
That's my puppy. Having a good time?
Yeah, you're just
Ah,
carrying him in
you're
your arms, and he's going.
dragging
So
Are they both the
good.
same type of dog?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm just going, oh, you. the
Great,
whole
we
time.
have a killer and a lover.
The whole time.
All right. They arrive back
We've forgotten which one is which.
at the Black Candle to find you there, and you've created this potion.
I keep it hidden.
Okay.
I keep this one secret from everyone.
Oh.
Did you want to purchase any ingredients or anything while you're here?
Oh yes, I would love to purchase as much sage root as I could. Sage root, which
Alright.
is the healing prop.
So sage root, she can sell a good number of those because they're fairly common,
They are.
and they're found in most terrain. Sage root runs for 3 gold pieces per dose, essentially.
Well, if you want healing word as much as possible, if we want health potions, I can make them for less than 50 gold.
Right.
Very nice.
So
Yes.
let's purchase about 10 of those.
Okay.
I
Let's see. Yeah, she has 15 currently in stock.
Let's take 10. Alright, I can make health potions whenever. 10 of
So,
them to be precise.
you've been keeping yourself busy over here.
Yeah, I made this. I like spin a bottle of what looks like pink potion in my hand.
And it breaks.
It is.
Roll an acrobatics.
It's make our enemies glow.
Enemies.
I guess that'll help.
Yeah, this is the fairy fire potion you
It's a
made.
fairy
Oh,
fire potion.
okay. I thought it was the other one.
No, I
Yeah,
kept
yeah,
that one
shows you.
secret.
I
Yeah.
show you our new friend.
A puppy!
Look at mine.
The dog is like, oh, I'm gonna eat that halfway. Bring him here.
I put the potion up and then right, where are we off to?
Sleep.
Sounds good.
So
Not you,
one
surely.
guy. Of course
Oh, sorry. Oh.
Stick your hand out. I take a step back and run.
Blue's could do, we can do. Woo! All right. And as you turn back into a flower, Nullius shakes his head, and he says, "Heathen magics," and he starts heading back towards where you're staying, towards the dead well.
High five, leave.
Yeah, I guess it was pretty late, huh?
As you arrive at the dead well, you head up to your rooms. You can see that the 2 guys who were arguing about whether to stay here or not are still there, drinking. The one who wanted to leave is now asleep on the table, like his head's just down on the table asleep. The other guy is still watching and seems frustrated with his friend.
Lower squirrel.
As you enter, Ben holds up a hand and he says, "Hold on now, you're not bringing those in here." No, the elves, of course. No, he says,
That's not a problem.
he says the dogs there.
Yeah,
I mean,
sleep outside.
dogs aren't allowed in here.
That's not fair.
That's not fair. I keep up the shop. You pay my rates. You can certainly go find another place to stay if you'd like, but you've already paid for the room.
I started digging in Elias's purse without his permission, and I pull out 2 gold coins. It's my purse, but he's holding it.
Nullius goes,
And I show it to the guy, and I hold the puppy, and I look very sad. And I give him the gold.
Lisa, my 2 gold.
Yeah.
You can
Slave in training. She doesn't know she can't take gold from her master.
He says, he says, I have to keep these rooms up for every person that comes in here. If I were to take your gold, 2 gold pieces couldn't refurnish an entire room.
But these are very well trained dogs, especially mine. Now it could protect this whole place.
I was just talking about my dog. I want to talk about his dog.
Put them outside on the hitching post.
Oh, he's a baby.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, put them on the post. You heard him. Let's go, Crag.
Crag. A fitting name for that monster.
That's what I said.
Norwayne asked my other elf friend to,
Please do the accent.
if you wouldn't mind,
No.
could you grab me my blanket from upstairs? I'll keep the puppy company.
You will sleep outside with the.
A slave to a slave.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I will most certainly not sleep in the same room as the beast in the black.
Well, once nighttime comes, I'll sneak down, do a produce flame for them, so they don't sleep in cold.
I have 2
Okay.
blankets, okay? I came prepared.
Or
You,
produce flame.
as you do so, the door opens, and Ben's standing there in a nightcap and a gown, and he says, "Oi, put out that fire. I don't want the whole place burning down. Besides, the light is keeping me up. Get back inside."
Whoever you are.
Oh wait, no, you're just some guy. Then in that case, he says, he says, "Get away from my inn. You can pay for a room like anybody else." He slams the door.
Alright. Produce flame.
Again.
Turn on that light!
Sorry.
Got 2 blankets.
I might as well, since I can't really go back inside, I might as well just sleep out here.
All right. So
We don't
inside,
think that's warm.
inside,
I don't know if it's okay.
you hear, Nullius comes to kind of gather you all to one room. Those of you who are inside, and he says, "We need to start discussing what our plan is, how we're going to get into the keep,
Priest of the older
and how we're going to bring down the Baron."
Well, the fact that we... you're inside with us, yes? Okay. Well, we did find out that the Cooper fellow happens to be the Baron's cousin. He could be an inn of some sort.
Nephew.
What?
His nephew.
Ah, sorry.
That might be worth looking into, yes.
We didn't really learn anything besides that. We do have the weapons now, though.
Yes, such that they are.
If we can gain audience with the Baron, I may be able to convince him to meet with us in a more private place.
How would we gain an audience with the Baron?
That is the question.
We are
What we do with his nephew?
merchants, at best.
Yes, and I doubt the Baron has need of yarn.
What if
It's great.
what if my slave got kidnapped?
Don't do it. Don't do it.
What if his
You know,
cousin got kidnapped?
maybe.
And we
That might
it
happen.
Well, I couldn't very well be a weapons dealer, Nullius. Because we have none. And now we do.
The orcs took them. That would have made far more sense for them to waylay a weapons dealer.
Some
And take
orcs
their
are
stock.
interested in handmade sweaters.
Well, now these orcs have
Apparently.
The crocheting orcs.
Listen, we can argue about this all day.
And we might.
I don't know that there is any argument to be made for it. Please continue.
I cannot. You are killing me.
You're killing me, Smalls.
No, remember he got shipped back.
What?
You did a New York. You did a New York accent, so.
We didn't check out the forest bounty, Terran's yard with the mounts. I don't know what we would find there because we already have mounts. First light, if you wanted to pray to your god.
Yes, I will, of course, be visiting the chapel at the first light of dawn.
Right, of course you will,
And you should as well, unless you want your disguise to appear false.
I will be there, trust me. Graydon's, which I forgot what that person sells.
Graydon's. If I remember right, Graydon's was a simple supply shop.
Very well, we could acquire some rope if we need to vault over something. I don't know. What? Why are you laughing?
Sorry, out of character laughter at Sam with the rope during the murder mystery.
Ah, yes.
Oh.
Bring it back. There's also
It helped.
the lodge.
His rope coat.
There's also the hunting lodge, but it would seem very weird for us to go over there.
I don't know that it would. We could at the very least go talk to them, feign ignorance of their custom if we entered and they turned us away.
True. And
We might find, they said they didn't think there was a blackguard there, but that doesn't mean they're not wrong.
well, who was the one? Oh, well, the yard that we were just at. He had the.
Yes, but he seemed rather disagreeable.
He was a charming enough fellow.
Did we speak to the same man?
At least he makes jokes. All right, there.
I'm sorry, men of the cloth are not taken to such flights of fancy. We concern ourselves with business,
Right.
and
Well,
stamping out evil wherever it may be.
evil, yes. Speaking of, there's that building that he made to probably Tiamat, right?
What is that?
Oh, it's not a thing. I'm just making up words.
I don't know god names. I just invented one.
I
off the top of
literally
my
don't know any religion, so I'm just coming up with the evil name.
Yes, well, it is a fool who knows no god.
Ooh, burn.
I do know Lormir, I just don't follow it.
Yes. I'm sure you know him very well, then. Look, all of this banter is getting us nowhere. We need a plan to get into the keep.
We couldn't talk to the pawn-foot person very
The
well, the smith, because Genderfoot? Yes, that's right. That sounds right, because there were guards there. I don't think that we can lure them away.
Are any of us quiet enough to approach and wake him in the dead of night?
You guys aren't inside.
Not us.
I'm inside.
That's pretty quiet.
I have handled my fair share of reconnaissance missions.
All of this banter is getting...
Whoa.
Deja vu.
Yes? Do you think you could do this?
I would imagine so. As you may understand, we are a little harder to see in the dark.
Yes, I do understand. It's one of the few talents of your people's heathen culture.
Oh,
He says, very well. And if you do such, we could perhaps find ourselves an ally. In the meantime, let us rest and see what the dawn brings.
While they're inside talking and stuff, could I have been trying to train my dog to come?
You can try.
To a word
You can try.
or an emotion or something.
Roll me an animal handling.
And emotion.
Emotion.
You just grin at him and he's like,
emotion.
oh, okay.
Let's hope the dogs are still there in the morning.
Did you crit?
No.
21.
Alright. So this week you have one success.
Yeah.
Mark down that you succeeded once.
Okay.
may I assist in that?
I mean, she already succeeded.
Yeah.
I know, but in later checks.
That's true. Yeah, you could.
Okay.
So...
By being the stick that she throws to teach him to
No.
defend?
Like, so there are certain types of plants that dogs and cats like because cats adore lemongrass and catnip. So I could find plants that a dog would like.
Are there any
She could
big
use-
plants that are dogs?
I'm trying to think right now.
I'll Google it.
We can find out. But in the meantime, outside, you see Cooper running through the streets.
Oh snap!
Kidnapped.
We see it. Y'all
Yeah,
don't.
you two do.
Right.
You see him. It doesn't look like he's being chased. He's just jogging along, and then
Remember that?
suddenly, a a dark cloaked figure steps out of an alley and just steps his leg out, and Cooper trips. The dark cloaked figure throws a net over him, and then jumps down on him, putting his forearm in Cooper's mouth. Then takes a gag, wraps it around him, ties his legs, and then as Cooper's going,
Hey!
he takes a small little bottle and shatters it right under Cooper's nose, and Cooper goes, and he drags him off.
I grab the dog and then I run inside and I start
Nature?
yelling.
All right, so
Check.
then we will pick up there
Yes.
next week.
No, I feel like I know
mystery.
things in
She likes
common.
subscribe. She likes subscribe.
Share, like, and subscribe.
Remember, episode 11 is where if you share, if you like, share, and subscribe.
Show, like, subscribe.
That's all the same.
Those are exactly the same things.
Yeah,
Either
different
direct.
order.
If you like, share, and subscribe the video across
clearly
all
a way
social
better order.
medias, you'll be entered to win a really cool 10x10 vinyl map of your making or one you have bought before. So make sure to go check it out. Thanks for watching.